machine. That's what you get when you have a home in the other room machine. That's what you get when you have a home in the other room machine. That's what you get when you have a home in the other room machine. That's what you get in the other room. Hey Connors. Conformers. Hey Connors. Conformers. Hey Connors. Conformers. Hey Connors. Wow, that's really echoey. Wow, that's really echoey. I'm streaming, hon. I'm streaming, hon. I'm streaming, hon. I'm streaming, hon. Let's just turn off my. Let's turn off the audio for right now. Hey Jason, how's it going? Hey Jason, how's it going? Hey Jason, how's it going? We're just waiting for one or two more people to come in who are on their way. One or two more people to come in who are on their way. One or two more people to come in who are on their way. One or two more people to come in who are on their way. One or two more people to come in who are on their way. Give me a second. Give me a second. How about now? Are you still getting some feedback? Sweet. Looks like we have 5 people on. Welcome everybody to my first broadcast, trying to show everybody how us developers build websites from the ground up. Now, this is not going to be a full tutorial on how to do every single thing you can do, but over this week and the following weeks, I'm going to pretty much build a website from the ground up to kind of show you guys what there is into it and how this is a lot better than using something like Wix or one of those services you just drag and drop everything on. Those just make it not as nice in the long run, but you do have some power there. Now I'll be using Visual Studios here. That's because I didn't add it to the screen. Okay, so what I was saying, I guess nobody heard that once I switched over. Visual Studios, if you either go to Visual Studios or visualstudio.microsoft.com, or you go ahead and just search Visual Studio, it'll be this big link right here. Now, thankfully, Microsoft has got the idea that there's a lot of developers out here who don't have access to like a professional license or anything. So they have actually got it to the point where you can download the community version completely free of cost. You can use it, you can get into your developing, make some websites right there. So when you click that, it just downloads a little installer. I'm not going to go through the installer with you guys. Only thing you have to do is check mark the options for web development And it pretty much installs everything you're going to see me use here. So I think our next step is just go ahead and get right into coding here. So this is my Visual Studio. I like the darker background. Just makes it a little bit easier to see. Let's start a new project here. And we're just going to be using Visual Basic. It's a little bit easier to read, a little bit easier on a new programmer, especially since you don't have to remember semicolons. You don't have to remember curly brackets. Everything is a lot easier to read to begin with. So we're going to go ahead and click on the ASP.NET web application. I'm just going to go ahead and select where I want to send this to. I'm going to call this here just ACNH. I'm going to be making this for, we have a server on Discord where a bunch of us play Animal Crossing. So I'm making like a little social media platform for everybody. Make it a little bit easier for everybody to get in, share stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Oh, you guys aren't even seeing that. Oh, crap. Let me back up. Can you see it there? Give me just a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can get it just to display the full screen here. There we go. Now you guys can see what I was doing. So I just went to File, New, Project. You just select your language here. Again, we're doing Visual Basic. And it should automatically pop up since I have this installed as a web development. It automatically gives me my web stuff right off the bat. So we're just going to do the ASP.NET web application. Name our page or our site. So like I was saying, we do an Animal Crossing New Horizons Discord where we all play, we share stuff, so that's why I'm just naming it something simple. You can name it whatever you want. Solution name will be the same as the project name. And we're going to be using .NET 4.8. Newest version there. Now with .NET, you can actually do everything from scratch, do like an empty project, or you can use some of these pre-made projects here. They're not really pre-made projects, but they give you a little template on what to start with. These actually are very, very nice, especially when it comes to setting up the basics for the website. You can spend hours just getting your page widths right, getting your columns right, getting your color scheme, putting up a navigation bar. This web forms will do 90% of that for you. So we're just going to click web forms, and then we're going to get started here. Hey Mark, welcome. Everything will be on YouTube. I'll post a link later on. I'm recording everything, so you guys should be able to revisit it later on after you get everything installed and everything. So now it's the fun part, just the waiting game. So what this is doing is it's actually setting up your whole website, all the files for you, all your backend stuff. So once this thing is done, the website's finished. We've made a website. Now it's up to us to figure out what we're going to do from here. So since we're going to be doing a website where we're going to be having users, I'm going to go ahead and load up our SQL Server here. Actually, we don't even need that. We can do it right through here. So I have a SQL Server database. You can actually get SQL Server Express or SQL Server Development and use it completely free of cost while you're actually learning how to do stuff. So let's see here. So this is our whole project right here. And if you want to see what it kind of looks like, you can just click this IIS Express. It's going to do some fancy stuff because the way ASP.NET works is it compiles all the backend code into one file. This one file right here. That way it's easier for it to load. Internet Destroyer, I don't want you. We're going to use Google Chrome instead. So switch over to our browser here. Let me know if you guys can see that here. This doesn't look like the browser window is working on my end. Oh, there we go. Alright, there's the website. Now, a lot of this stuff like the menus and everything, this is all pre-set up for you. It's using a platform called Bootstrap. The good thing about Bootstrap is they have everything documented on how to use it. So if you go to getbootstrap.com, click documentation, every single thing that you would ever need to use, like how to make different color layouts, how to do these little card things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can use. Like you've probably seen websites with those pictures that you can scroll through. So this is already stuff that's implemented into your website. You just have to know what sort of code to use. So let's go ahead and open up our main file. Now everything is running off of what we call a master file. This master file holds all the layouts, all the prettiness. Like for example, this title bar and like the bottom footer here, those are all part of the master file. And those actually stay the same between each page. So if I go to the About page, it's going to look the same way as you see the... Oop, I shut it off. That's my fault. Same way as you would see the Contact Us page and everything. So we're going to load up this site master file. Now a lot of this you won't even touch. I'm going to change the title. Now this will stay the same title on each page and then just pop in the title from other pages. I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a moment. So let's just name this kind of like our website. I can spell. There Perfect. So that's going to show up on every single one of our websites. It's going to show it that way now. So let's say if we need to make a small change, so instead of my .NET application, I want it to say guy rules. If I can spell. There we go. Loading back up the website. Let's switch it back. Now you see here guy rules and the where's that right here? This is our little web page name. So I mean, we have a basic website here. Now let's get into a little bit of the fun part here. Let's go ahead and stop the debugging. Let's go ahead and, since we are trying to have people log on to the website, we have to create a membership. So the first thing we have to do is connect to a database. Oh, so is Bootstrap similar to WordPress? Well, WordPress is its own complete content management system, a CMS. And you pretty much set up articles in WordPress and they show up automatically. They do all the stuff. So WordPress allows you to manage content. Bootstrap allows you to manage layouts. So that's the big difference between the two. So, I mean, Bootstrap doesn't do anything until you tell it to. WordPress, you just give it some data and it'll automatically show it up on the website. So let's see, we're going to do, let's create a new SQL Server database. Point to my web server here. I'm just going to use my system administrator account I have here. It is recommended not to use system admin when you're doing coding or anything, but again, this is just for fun. We're going to name this just like the rest of our naming, just to get a new database in there. It just takes a moment to authenticate, get everything through, and there we have a database. We don't have any data in the database, but we do have a database. Now, I always reference an article I have found on the web. If you search 4 Guys from Rolla membership, and you go to part 3, this tells you what we need to do from here. And the key is this right here. This will automatically set up all of the membership stuff we need. We don't have to write anything from scratch. Everything is right here. So I am going to go ahead and click back to this one. Kind of show you where I'm going here. So in your Windows folder, you have Microsoft.NET, Framework. Even though we're using Framework 4.8, everything is under the 2.0. That was the basis of where everything that we use now is built upon. And then we want to run ASP.NET _ reg SQL right here. interface like we're expecting. We're going to configure, so we leave that is server. I love C3PO, he does so much for me. Enter in our super secret passwords. Boo, I typed in the password wrong. There we go. And we can find our database right here. Just click next, next, let it do its thing, and it's done. So as you see now, there's a bunch of stuff here. This all holds everything regarding the members of your website. It's real nice. And you'll see how that plays into everything later on. So we got the site master. We don't really need to change anything with this just yet. Let's actually add a login item here. So right here is where you see the name and everything. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Here we go. So that section is these three items right up here, right up top. So I'm just gonna add one more there just to make it easy. I just copy and paste a lot. So we went ahead and created another line here. We're gonna name this, how about login? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people logged in. Right. Now let's go ahead and create a login file. So this actually is pointing to the right place here. Now in .NET, a little FYI, if you ever see these tildes, what that does is it automatically assumes http:// whatever your website's going to be. It automatically is a neat little wildcard you can put in there that simplifies things a lot. Now that only works when you're running things at server. So if you see where it says run at server, so what will happen, the server will process that first, then send it to the web browser. I'll show you a little bit more here in a second of how it looks. So let's create your first actual page. So we're going to right click this, the project. We're going to click add. And we're going to click new item. Now here's where I mess up all the time. You can do a web form or web form with master. Now if you remember earlier, we're using a master page to keep the layout from page to page to page exactly the same. Makes it a little bit easier to, like I said, you don't have to rewrite things over and over again. So let's go ahead and name this login. Capitalization doesn't matter. I can honestly name it like this. It'll still work. Unlike Linux-based systems like PHP, Microsoft is not case sensitive when it comes to the website, so makes it a little bit easier. Now that we've set up our name, clicked OK, it's asking us what master file do we want to use. Say .master. Click OK. Now that doesn't look like a web page at all. I mean, if you're used to it being something like HTML, then you got your header, then you got your body. Now you don't need to have any of that stuff because it's already in the master file. So that's what this does. It'll take whatever we put between these two guys here and throw it right here. Shut up, John. I know. Header. So, Mark, the tilde, generic to HTTP or HTTPS, it's all depending on what you're already connected to. So if I did, like the karaoke website, if I did https://kara.geico.com, it will automatically keep the S there. It automatically takes whatever domain and whether it's secure or not secure and keeps that standard throughout all of the pages. That way you don't have to remember, is it HTTP or HTTPS? So that tilde does take the guesswork away from it. So going back to the login page, whatever we put in between these two is what we're going to see. So let's say, hi John, shut your face, just as an example. Go ahead and compile that up. There we go. We got our login here. So if you look at the very bottom, well, you guys can't see that on the screen, but this is what that link is. So I mean, we're not on the domain yet, so it automatically knows, okay, we're localhost or port 64440, and it does the HTTP. So it does know exactly how you're accessing the website, so later on you can actually get right back to, or you don't have to worry about where you're going from there. As long as you can remember where your files are in the folders, you're good. So we created that login page. So if we click login, that's for you, John. But we can't really do anything with just that. So let's go back to the code here. ASP.NET and Microsoft is making things so easy for you. If you click your little toolbar here, this is a list of all the things you can actually have on a web page. This is not the extensive list. This is just what comes out of the box. So let's say we want to log in. We want a login box. That's it. That's all you need to do. So now when we go ahead and load up the page here, there's a wonderful little login box. And it's already ready to work out of the door here, but we have no user set up, so trying to get logged in isn't going to be too easy. Now what I can do is go ahead and set up a user real quick. I'm going to do that later. So this is my actual web server here. This is C3PO. He's the one that does all the websites I run. And we're going to show you guys a little bit of the back end of everything. So here, we don't have the site quite set up yet. So we're going to set up the website on the web server. So we're going to keep our naming the same. I'll put that at Nazgul. I mean, how much simpler can you get? Oh. Now, when you guys actually are hosting this on a hosting platform like GoDaddy or anything, this stuff is automatically going to be done for you through their interface, so you're never going to have to worry about it. HTTP equals, no, we just need the host name. ac.guycohol.com. Alright, so to another site. Oh, well, ACHN. There we go. So that's got our website up. Let me see. You won't get any issues setting a path to a network drive. No, actually, they recommend using the full path of a network share versus doing like if you were to map it to a drive. So if I were to try to map that particular path, I know that you're mapping the network drive to say drive Z. It won't nag much. Yeah, like I said, if you map the drive like this, it will complain and yell and scream because as soon as your credentials change, let's say if I log out of the admin account, log into my account, all the websites will be offline because that particular drive doesn't exist anymore. So that's why when you go to set these up, you use the actual share path. Now, for you guys who are doing it at home, you're never going to have that issue because you're just going to run it off of your computer or off of a hosting service, and they do all that nitty-gritty stuff for you. So, just so you guys know now, if you actually open up a web browser on your computer and go to acnh.guycohol.com, that is all the website in its glory. So we got a website, we got it online. So my tutorial's over, right? No, we still have a lot more to go. So getting back to setting up the users here. So we do need to set up a couple places here on our website to tell it exactly how you want to access the memberships. I just went to my web.config. Now web.config, this thing is very powerful. You can easily mess something up in here. So I'd always make sure you know what you're doing before you get into it. So I'm just going to set up one quick thing here so we can actually see the errors as they happen and they'll show on screen. We're not going to have it show us any fancy error screen, so we're good there. So we're going to need, for our uses here, we're going to need a role manager and a membership manager. So the first thing we need to do is, did they set up a... No, it didn't set up a thing automatically. So we have to set up our connection string here. Before that, let me create a quick login here. Okay. Yeah, this you guys will never have to worry about. Should work. So what we're going to do is set up our connection string to our database real quick. And a good thing is it's already here, so I can just copy it. And we can do, so this needs to go into system. Web. No, it's actually outside system.web. Connection. I pulled the website on my phone and it looks different. I don't see the login tab. Did I do something wrong? No, you did not do something wrong. If you look right here, we have site mobile. So this is what the mobile site's going to look like. This is what the regular site's going to look like. And make it so you can do that. Let me rename this real quick. Yes, I know it's not going to be usable. Go away. Okay, now if you go ahead and try refreshing it, it should work perfectly fine. And pretty much the difference is if your screen's at a certain width, it automatically goes to the other file. But again, I've never really used it. You can set up two different looks, two different ways your website works for mobile versus on your desktop. Most of the stuff I set up is for desktop use anyway. So let's go back to the web config here. So we got connection strings. Now, a connection string, for those who don't know, is a way to connect to your database. And this is something that is a pain in the you-know-what for most of us here in the programming industry, is to make sure that you get your connection string correct. And no, this is not the password to all my stuff here, so I just created this guy's this one just for you guys. Let's see, am I using the right login? ECNH. ECNH, perfect. So now we need to do a name. Let's go name this one my database. And that's all we need there. So we're good. So we set up a connection string. We're going to need that later on when we actually set up our membership manager and our role manager. So memberships and stuff are done inside system web. So I'm going to make some room here. Let's set up membership first. So first, default provider. Let's go ahead and set up some providers here. So we're going to do providers and add. As you see, it automatically does a lot of the coding for you, putting your opening tags and your closing tags. We're going to name this one CNH member. That's good enough. Now, since we're using a SQL server, there's a special type that we have to use just for this. And I'm going to be lazy and just copy and paste it. Now, if you were using like an Access database, it would be a little bit different. If we're using, I think it's MongoDB or MySQL or any of those, your membership type will be a little bit different depending on how they need access to the database. And then let's tell it what connection string to use here. So, connection. At the top, we went ahead and named it MyDB. Just make it so we can see it again. There we go, MyDB. We're just going to go ahead and take it exactly as we see it there. Right. And then now we can set up our default provider. Copy and paste it. Now, if you had multiple providers for multiple different websites and everything, you can actually go through and tell it exactly which one that you want to use at that particular time. It's really good if you are doing multiple companies using the same code but a different database. Makes it a little bit easier to kind of keep them separate. Our next thing we're going to do is role managers. Now, what roles are used for is to kind of control what people can or cannot do. Yes, they're also used to eating. Trust me, I've eaten my share of them today. Wait, I didn't eat any rolls today. Never mind. So if you want to say somebody's a supervisor, you can actually have a role for just supervisors, one for just managers, one for just customers or even employees. So you can kind of keep them in or out of certain web pages. This will be a little bit more apparent later on. So let's see, we need to set up a provider for this one as well. And I'm going to be lazy and just copy and paste some code here. Oop, didn't put it in the right place. There we go. It's pretty much the same sort of syntax we had above. But instead of membership provider, we got a role provider. Our name is ACNH role. There we go. And we are almost done here. Default. So now we have our role manager set up. We have the membership set up. Now we can add our first user. Now you normally wouldn't add users this way because it would be setting it up through the website itself. I selected a default. Oh, did I not save it? No. If you see a little star up here in the corner, that means you haven't saved something. When you save, it goes away. Trust me, that will probably is the number one worst thing I've tried to do is forgetting to save. And that's our default file provider. What am I missing? Let's go back and check this again. There we go. I did not set what type of authentication we were going to use, so we're going to be using forms because we're not linking at the windows, we're not doing anything funny. They're going to have their own username, their own password. There we go. So that's done. What else am I missing here? Give me a second. I'm just going to see if I have a piece of code I've used before. That's one of the things that you're going to notice is a lot of copying and pasting. Because a lot of times that's what we do in coding. Copy and paste. It's your friend. Let's see here. Oh, we forgot to set up a couple things here. I'm going to copy a couple things over. If you look, it doesn't give you all the options that you could have. I'm going to use the full type here. Okay. Oh, we need the application name. this is used for if you have multiple applications running on the same database, which if you're using a hosted service, you normally only get one database. So we're going to name this one ACH. Kind of keep the naming the same so it's easy to remember. And here's where we get to set up all the nitty-gritties of what we're going to require for the users to have. I'll go over these here with you so you kind of know what they are. Enable password reset. So you have the ability to require users to enter in a security question and answer. If you set this to true, they'll be able to reset their password automatically that way. Enable password retrieval, same sort of concept, but instead of them getting email to reset their password, this will just give them their password automatically. Password format. There are several formats you can store passwords in. Hashed is probably the best one out of the box because it'll automatically encrypt all the passwords. You don't have to worry about people being able to easily get in and steal them. Is that 25 MySQL databases, John, or is that 25 SQL Server databases? Because I know they give away MySQL databases like crazy. Okay. Now those two first enables are completely voided out when I set this one to false. Because we're not going to require them to do a question and answer. Yeah, but is that MySQL or Microsoft SQL? I think it's the MySQL, John, but yeah, I used to have that. Back in the day, they gave me 10 of them on one server. But I was lucky back then. Remember, those were the days of PA when PA actually worked. So I'm going to actually require them to do a question and answer. How many non-alphanumeric characters? 1. Password length 8. Requires unique email. Yes. And auto-generate the stuff. Yeah. So that's the easy part right there. So with the role manager, the only thing I forgot to include was the application name on that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and be lazy. Copy and paste. Make it look pretty. There we go. We should be able to get in and add a user here. Okay, so when it comes to coding, you can literally write code all over the place. Yep, I'm answering it. So let's say if I was to go into the code for the login, I can write one thing here and then one thing here and then one thing here, and it doesn't matter. It just makes it easier to kind of read what you're doing. So in the case of this, just being able to see what I want real quick instead of having to scroll and scroll and scroll, because trust me, you'll see. Now, even with that, if I wanted to see some of the other things, I just have to keep on scrolling and I forget where I'm at. So, using some sort of indentation or some way to keep your text aligned is always the best. Now, when it comes to like JavaScript, which we'll get into probably down the road a little bit, John will tell you there's two different types of programmers. There's the ones who will go ahead and put their brackets like that, and some will put their brackets like that. So it all depends on who you are. I like that, Mark. If it was hard to write, it shouldn't be hard to read. That's why I try to use easy to understand variables. And if you look, everything here should be hard to read. Oh no, it shouldn't be hard to read. You're old school there, Mark. Hold on, let me pull up the COBOL screen for you. Where's that? No, I don't have one here. But if you guys ever want to have some fun, I think it's .net. Yep. 99ballsofbeer.net. Also tab, do not space. You're John. I'll space everything for you. But this website's pretty cool. Just so you, if you guys are ever interested in, it has the song 99 Bottles of Beer programmed in about 1,500 languages. Where's the one? Here we go. Here's one of my favorites. Here's the code. You don't see it until you actually highlight it. Let's amazing some of these programming languages. We won't be using that one though. Make it easy on you guys. Okay, let's see if I can get the thing to let me add a user now. It's not a trusted provider. It is my trusted provider. Oh, MySQL. I copied the wrong one. That's because I was on the MySQL site that I was pulling that off of. Let me go ahead and go to this one. It's good if you have the right ones set up. So for membership, there we go. And the role one is fine. Okay, so that should let me do it now. Let's try this again. Drum roll, please. Still retrieving. Yeah, using the Internet Information Systems interface isn't always the easiest. need that. Let me make sure that connection is going to work to the database. Oh, that's why. I don't think we have to worry about this change. No. There we go. Where's must change? Just missing it. Oh, well, let's just log in. Why is it so quiet? Because I'm not talking. It's requiring me to do another one. There we go. So it's a password issue. Go away, go away. Let's be changed to 2. There we go. I love spam 2. I forget how many takes this is, but all that stuff that we were doing in code, you can actually do right through these here. No, not that. Providers. Everything looks good there. Just had to reselect the right database connection. See if it works this time. Nope. Let's see here. Well, as you see, whenever you change anything one place, sometimes it changes it both places. Let's see here. Actual strings right. Maybe it needs that auto create schema. Not using it in other places. Is it the dash here maybe? Oh, I'll laugh if it was that. Let's see. Nope. Format of initialization string does not conform to specified string at index 0. Sometimes it's just silly things like not clearing it out before you add one. Nope. Cannot retrieve users. Let's see. Auto generate schema. True. Attribute not recognized. Maybe I have it misspelled. Let's see here. Let's go back to code, double check that again. Maybe they changed things around. Pull up another set of code real quick. Let's see here. String. That's all correct. Membership, provider. Oh, that can be it. It's copying pasting stuff from an old website, and we're using a new one. And I hate when it does that. Okay, so I got that. I got the application name correct, right? Where up with that? Okay. Connection string matches this, and just to make it easier, what's funny about the punch cards thing is one of the teachers I had in college made us actually do a small project with just punch cards. He wanted to kind of show us how it was done in the past and how we have it so much nicer these days. Enabled. Authentication forms, that's right. Yeah, I have everything correct here. Let's try it one more time here. I still got that somewhere. Yeah, I don't have that in here. That's how it should be. If it doesn't work this time through, we'll move on to something else. I'll try to figure out what's going on throughout the week. No, he did not do that, but... or at least at first. But then what he did is he took the 6 or 7 people in my class and shuffled them together and then reran them through the machine. As you know, nothing worked at that point. Just like this, it's not working at this point. See, it pulled the rolls, no problem. That one was quick. I don't know, we'll figure out what's going on with that later on here. So let's see, what else can we do? Oh, let's go ahead and set up a scenario here for you. Let's say you're logged in already. And do you want the user to be able to go back to the login screen? No, we don't want them to go back to the login screen unless they're not logged in. So going back to our login page, this is just the HTML for it. So earlier you may have seen me click this little button up here. This shows you all the files that are associated with this one page. The two that we really need is the ASPX and the ASPX-VB. Now this is all the code that runs behind the scenes, the stuff that you don't get to see as a user, but we get to play with here on our end. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the user is already signed in. So if page.user.identity is authenticated, then let's redirect them. So response redirect. Remember earlier we said the tilde kind of is the wild card there. So we're going to send them back to the main page. So right there, if they are logged in, they're going to be automatically sent back to the main page. Also, the page load, for those of you who don't know how the events work here in .NET, every single thing that happens has its own little place where you can execute code. Page load is one of the ones you'll use most often. Is as the page is loading, it will run this code. So if I needed to, let's say, pull data from another source and then process data, we can do it all through here. I mean, we don't have to do any of that right now, but you can do it through the load function. Now there's some times where you don't want to do in the load function, you want to do somewhere else. So let's go ahead and show you what that kind of looks like here. So I'm going to create a test file real quick. What format? Master page. We're going to do test. Select the right master page. There we go. So let's do some basic stuff here. Let's create a text box. We're going to put a little label here. What's your name? We're going to just name this text box something easy to remember. TB name. HR is just a horizontal roll. Those are lines that draws across the page. Has no reason. I only use it just for examples like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create what is called a panel. Now panels can be hidden, so at first they're not seen. So we're going to name this panel pname. And then I'm just going to put a label is like a block of text per se. So we can do like hi, whatever you typed in as your name. Nice to meet you. I know, my grammar sucks. So this is going to be what's on the front side. I'm going to compile it just to show you what we have as of the moment here. So let's go point our browser to that test file. Mark, if you assume that the punch cards could only do like 250 or so characters, you figure 4 cards is a kilobyte max. So, I mean, you'd probably have to have like 50 or 60 printer boxes full of them to equal a couple megabytes. So yeah, what you can fit on the flash drive now is crazy. So here's what we have right now. We just have a text box, and it says nice to meet you, but I haven't told it to hide it. Let's go back to the code here. So the panel, I don't want that visible at first, so we're going to do visible false. There we go. So now it's hidden. Let's go ahead and do a button here as well. Here's where we get into the fun stuff. So now we just have the what's your name, a text box, a button. And I know that, John, if you're still on, you're probably going to be yelling at me for using the line break, but nah. You want to do the ASP.NET in web development. And honestly, you can't go wrong by just installing everything underneath that tab. Even if you don't use it, it's good to have it in your back pocket just in case you do need it. So let's see what we have now. There we go. A little button that says say hi. We're going to make that button look a little pretty, and then I'll show you some back-end work on how this is going to pan out. So for the button, remember I said that Bootstrap earlier, right? Now I know that there's a class called BTN and BTN dash primary. So in Bootstrap, BTN does the shape and size of the button, and the BTN dash primary or secondary or alerts, there's like 13 or 14 of them, actually defines what the colors are, both the text and the background color. So we got that real pretty. You know what, let's put that all into a panel as well, because we're going to make this really nice. We don't even need this anymore. So let's get a panel here. I'm just going to do P question. Grab all this stuff and put it into there. There we go. Make it look pretty. There we go. And now getting back to what you were saying earlier, Irma, about the sentences keeping alignment. If you look, my beginning panel tag and my ending panel tag both line up for both of these. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of see like where one panel ends and the other begins. Plus you have these little ways to make code smaller. You'll use them a lot later on down the road. So this panel I want to show normally, so if I don't tell it to hide, it's not going to. So we have a text box named TB name, we have a button name B name, and a label L name. We have the question panel and the name panel. So let's do some coding here. Let's bring up the back end. Get rid of, let's log in. I want test. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that you haven't already accessed the page once before. And the reason why this is important is whenever you click a button, click a link, or anything that causes the page to refresh, it's not going to a new page, it's called a post back. So it's posting whatever data you've just entered back to the same page. And that's very useful when it comes to, like, if they're, like even this chat room that you see here, whenever you hit enter, it sends a post back to the server where it processes the information and sends it out to everybody else. So let's check for that here. So if page.isPostback, what are you showing me here, John? Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that stuff. John, you're showing too much now. I know that merge conflicts will probably be something I use later on, since I've been moving most of my sites to Git just to back them up. Now, for those who don't know, Git is, or GitHub, is a wonderful website where you can store code. A lot of open source software is stored there. You can also store your own stuff. So let's say if me and John, the mind, is working on the same project, he can pull just the files that he's working on, and then once he's done, he can push them back to the server, but not step on anything I'm working on. So it's pretty neat. So we're checking if it is a post back. So we're going to have two things. If it is a post back, do one thing. If it's not a post back, do something else. So if it's not a post back, I want to clear out that text box. So TV name, we're doing the text of the text box equals nothing. If it is a post back, we don't want to do anything. We're just going to leave it go. You will do things here later on. Mostly this is good for when you want to, let's say somebody's submitting a form where you have a drop down. Well, you use database in order to populate that drop down. You don't want to have to when you repopulate that drop down, you lose what they selected. So you have to be selective of where you pull your data and when you don't. So we have a text box, a button. The button's an important one. So let's look for the button here. So we got all your things that you put on there will all be listed here. It makes it easy to find them. So we want B name, that's the button, and we're doing the click event. There we go. It's already set up here. So we're doing, let's check to see if there's anything in that text box first. So if, I'm so used to doing JavaScript. If the text box, TB name, text, we're first going to do a command called trim. This will trim any blank spaces off the beginning or end of what's typed in that box, and then we're going to check the length. So if it's less than 1, that means I didn't type anything in. And we have no way of sending them anything, so we're just going to do less than. Let's do that. Let's put another label that will just so we can send them a message when they did something wrong. Label, 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 label. Just going to call this one L. Error. And we're going to make it really nice with a foreground color. Red. There we go. So we just add a little bit more there. So if there's an error, let's set up some error catching here. So I am declaring a variable serr as a string, saying it to nothing. And what we'll do is we'll capture the error here. We'll add to it. Whenever you do a plus equals, it's going to take whatever is in serr and just add on to the end of it. So we're just going to add on here. Okay, so we got that. Now let's check this, see if there's an error here. So if error.length is greater than 0, then we're going to do something else. Else we can continue on with our code here. Now you probably wondered, why did I set it up this way? Well, we can do several error checks here, so not just one. So if text.trim.to lowercase is equal to John, then there we go. Now we have a couple things we're looking for. As long as it's over one character and it's not equal to John. So you're able to capture multiple errors all at one time, just doing it this way. It's good practice to start learning how to do these ahead of time, then learning them later on once you get set in in your ways. Trust me, it took me forever to break my old habits of doing air trapping one at a time. So if we do this, we're just going to go ahead and set the air label that we set up here equal to whatever this air is. There we go. Right, so I will send back the air to the web page, and then that's all there is to it. We're not going to put anything else into this code block here, so it should just jump to the very end and we're good. So now let's say if there is no air, let's do some fun stuff. First, we're going to go ahead and hide the question. Let's go ahead and bring up the panel that has the rest of the stuff on there. We'll call that name. We're going to make that visible. And L name is equal to lname dot text is equal to, and we're going to make this real nice. We're going to do TB name, that's our text box, text, we're going to do 2 upper, and that just makes everything capitalized. That way it doesn't matter if you type it lowercase or uppercase, it's easy to make it all one. Same thing when we were over here. Hey John, it's been a pleasure. Here in a second, go ahead and go onto that test page and see if what it says when you type your name in. So yeah, so here it just takes a text, takes off all the blank space before and after, and then makes it all lowercase. So let's go ahead, let's try that real quick. Let me rebuild it. Oh, it's already up to date. Perfect. So let's go to the web page real quick. Let's refresh. And whenever you build, it does take a second or two for it to remount the file. So when you do refresh it again, it should be pretty quick. So let's say my name. Why didn't it enter name? Okay, so let's say John. There we go. And we put something else in. There we go. I thought you'd like that. The Mind, or John, he's actually been programming with me for about a decade now. We actually worked on a project together. We took the game Cards Against Humanity and made it a web-based game. So you didn't have to be in person or anything. We used to play it all the time. And one of the little Easter eggs I put in was, well, he always was telling people to shut your face. Just as a joke. That was his little punchline. And if you finished a game and then you clicked on the title of the page, it would actually have his voice say, shut your face. Oh yeah, trust me, I help him out whenever I can. But so, what do you guys think about this little basic setup here? Do you guys want to see more next week? All do we have on here? Let me see. Since we still have 8 people on here. Woo. Hey guys, go ahead and shoot me a little message there in the chat box. Let me know what you thought. Well, Mark, like I said, I am recording this to my computer as I'm doing the stream. So I will be able to later on upload it to YouTube. You guys can skip through all the parts of me trying to do that membership stuff, and you can get the most done. You can walk yourself through it. And one of the things I've always found is go ahead and watch YouTube videos. The one thing I did with the Four Guys from Rolla, I've been using that webpage for at least the last 12 or 13 years to go ahead and keep myself straight on what I was actually working on. And I'll tell you this, a lot of the stuff, the code I use, everything right off the web. Search it. So Armor, you can't wait until lesson 2. Well, hopefully lesson 2 I have the membership stuff done, because that's really what I wanted to get through today, was showing you guys how to set up a membership, how to get somebody to log in, and do a couple neat little things, like the login on the menu. You don't want the login to show in when you're logged in. You want it to say log off. So there's a way you can actually set up those in the ASP.NET code. So what else do you guys want to learn other than just setting up a basic website? Let's do some other quick things while I wanted to make this stream about 2 hours long, so let's add some more prettiness here. Okay, let's header. I'm just going to call this a name game. Let's go ahead and add in a picture. How about that? We haven't done a picture. Add. We're going to make a new folder here. I just like keeping all my images in one folder. Makes it a little bit easier to find stuff later on. Let me see. What picture should we put up here? Well, you get the logo that I have for the stream here. Where'd I put you? Oh, that's why. Let's copy and paste it. There we go. And here's how cool this is. You can actually go through it pixel by pixel. Change palettes. You can actually do some minor editing in here. Let's go ahead and get this picture on. I'm going to rename it to make it easier. Let's do 404 error. Okay. And here's how easy this stuff is. Let's do an image, a looking image. Now, if you're not going to use or manipulate something, you don't even have to change the name here. So I'm just going to leave that as is. And we want the image URL. Watch this. Told you I like to keep everything in my images folder. Here it is. Bam. Save it. I don't need to compile it because I didn't do any editing on the backend code. Refresh it. There we go. Nice little picture. Now there's going to be some tools that I'm going to show you later on. And this kind of requires you to have at least that's why. To have like Google Chrome installed, I have Google Canary. It's just the developer's version where it's updated nightly. But when you actually have like Chrome, let me do the full page. There we go. You can right click on anything and do inspect. It gives you a little bit more information. Like this is actually the code that's being sent to the web browser. Let me see if I can. Hold on a second. I'm going to get a scene set up so I can show you the web browser and this at the same time. There we go. My mic's back. Now we're going to do window capture. No, we're not going to do window capture. We're going to do screen capture. There we go. It's kind of what I wanted. Ooh, chippy. There we go. Perfect. So when you right click it, you get this guy right here. And here's why this is one of my favorite tools to use. Let's say if I wanted to play with like the size of something, I can go ahead and start messing around with the style sheets. Let's say I want 150 pixels big. See if I can get this center. I forget which one it is. John, who was on here a minute ago, he's the master at style sheets. I always come to him to help me out with them, and in turn I help him out with some other things. So we can always make other adjustments here. Let's see. Let's see if we want the background color. But you're probably thinking, wait, why did you make it red? You can't see it, right? Yeah. Let's give some padding. There we go. Yeah, so this is a pretty powerful tool. You don't have to know anything about this just yet, but when it comes to actually aligning stuff, making stuff look pretty, the Bootstrap only does so much. So as I was mentioning earlier, buttons, we were just using a secondary color. No, we were using primary color, right? Let's switch that to Ginger real quick, just so you guys can get an idea of what it can do here. So let's see. So that button now should be red, just like this. Actually, just like this. There we go. Real simple. Made one quick change and it was done. So yeah, Bootstrap, I mean, I can do 2-3 lessons just on Bootstrap itself. Button groups. I mean, look at all this stuff that's already pre-built for you. I just like how if you do a button group, how it highlights what button you pressed. But we're going to probably get into some navbar stuff next week. as soon as I can get this stuff with the membership working. We'll be doing some stuff with the nav bar. We're going to be doing we're going to change our application name, put a little picture right here. We'll have on the right hand side, we'll show like who's logged in and what their name is. It'll be pretty cool. Do you guys have any questions of what we've already covered tonight? No questions at all. Are you guys still with me? Yeah, I still have 6 people on. I wish this showed me how many people were there. As far as like edit and post, I'll probably upload it raw to begin with, just so you guys can get access to it, and then probably do some editing of it later on. I mean, there's a lot of ums and ahs and stuff, and especially that middle part where I was trying to do the membership. I'll figure that out for next week, but yeah, I'll go ahead and edit it down a little bit to keep it easy. Now, is there a way to keep track of who has accounts on your website? Now, for a website like I'm going to be setting up, there's no real reason to need to track who's on the website, because it's going to be one of those, it's like Facebook wanting to track who's on their website. There's too many people to track. But coming back to this guy, there we go. This guy right here. Like, for example, if I went to, which one can I use? Like the karaoke manager. What we used for our karaoke. I can see like all the users that are on here once it loads up. Oh, yet another one. Just to clarify, the membership code that you were showing us is meant to serve. Yeah, that code is basically just setting up how to access the membership and everything. So as you see, here's all my members of the website. And then the roles I was talking about earlier, where we at? So like I have different types of people who would be on the website. Well, the membership itself is so, I mean, I'm showing you guys how to make a website where people would be logging into it. Now, if you just want to make a website to show some pictures and everything, you can just add some pages, don't have to even worry about the membership. But you talked to me a couple days ago, remember, you wanted to make a website where you could sell stuff, where you're going to want to allow users to log back into their account, be able to see their past purchases, maybe repurchase stuff, or track their purchase, like if when you're shipping stuff out, and even send you feedback or contact you in a customer service sort of way. That's what all the membership is for. It's, I mean, we take it for granted when we log into a website, but it's doing a lot in the background to keep track of what's going on, who's going where. A lot of stuff that it tracks, we don't even care about. Like how many times somebody clicked on somebody else's picture, that doesn't matter. But knowing that that you've gotten a lot of people going to a particular item that you have on the website to sell, but nobody's buying it, might show you, okay, maybe that's something that I need to look into. And these are all things that you can do later on with the code. But I'm just going to show you right now the basics of how to get the membership started, how to start working with some of the basic codes. Because, I mean, when you get later on, you're going to have literally pages upon pages of code. Just as an example here, where's some of my other pages at? Let me close down what we were working on here. Yes, let's save it. So let's say if I wanted to show you guys another one. We're going to Nazgul. The website I was telling you about that me and John kind of worked on. Here is the whole page load I was telling you about. This is the page load function. That right there is about 100 lines. And it checks for certain things like there was a maintenance period that they were doing. So I was checking to see if it was within the maintenance period so I can warn people. This is where I check if somebody is logged in or not. I was kind of mentioning about it before. So if somebody's logged in, here's everything I would do. If they're not logged in, I would check for other things. And this stuff executes every time that you get into a web page. Even if you go to google.com, I guarantee you they have a bunch of stuff that pops up to kind of look up, like what is the day-to-day, what logo should I be displaying, what recommendations should I be giving when somebody starts typing. So it's amazing what you can do on that in the background right there. Did that kind of help you out, Irma? So basically what we're doing today is just configuring what we're going to use later on, if that makes any sense. Alright, do you guys have any other questions? Anything at all? Anything that we've gone over? Maybe did I go too fast on certain parts? You tell me what's going on. This is basically for you guys, not for me. Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm just getting used to OBS, so it's hard because you have to put the audio input on every single one of the pages. So like if I'm switching between this and I don't have the audio on the same thing, it doesn't keep it on. Yes, I agree with you both. Not having the ability to do it side by side is definitely hard, especially if you're only having one screen. Now, as I was saying, I have three screens, so I was doing I have my broadcasting stuff here, my code here, my website here. So when I do coding, I actually use three screens. On screen, my middle screen, I have my actual Visual Studios. On my right screen, I have my web browser. And on my left screen, I normally have this guy full screened. And I'm constantly flipping back and forth between them. Sometimes I do rearrange it, like if I'm trying to do some stuff where I need to have this screen and the web browser next to each other, I'll swap them for the moment just until I can come back. But yeah, you and use big screens are for us old people to read clearly. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, I started off with actually show you here. These two screens were my original screens. This one and that one. And that's what I was coding off of for the longest time. And having those smaller square screens sometimes is a little bit harder because, I mean, it's just like if we had this minimized down to that. I mean, I kind of like having these things open here. Having to close them whenever you don't need them is a pain. But that's why I try to do everything on the wider screens. And thankfully, thanks to my current employer, two of the screens I didn't even have to do anything for. So I use those as two of my primaries, and I have my third monitor actually found online for like $40. Wasn't bad. Another OG moment is when I got my first 300 baud modem. My first modem was 2400, so I did have one slightly faster than yours, but not quite. Let's see. So for you guys who don't know, I mean, me and Mark, we kind of remember those days, but here's how here's the speed of writing a screen of text. This is full speed. For those who are used to clicking on a website and then just being there, this was the olden days. Man, those were the days. Having the old text-based BBS systems. Yeah, they don't have those things too much anymore. Well, that one was labeled 300 baud. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but we expect for just searching online. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the stream itself so you can get some notifications when I do go online. I might just randomly jump on just to work on stuff and just have it open, but not actually giving you guys a lesson, so you can kind of see some other things I'm working on. So I don't know how to subscribe to this thing. I guess you can follow. There's a little purple follow button there. You can also hit the little bell icon to get notifications. I can't get notifications for myself. That's too bad. That'd be awesome. That's kidding. Other than that, I can post them on Facebook. This was just something that was completely and totally. Oh, I don't want to say random. Me and one of the guys I used to work with, Jason, he's on here as oh, there we go. There he is, con artist. He kind of suggested to do a stream showing how to code, and I'm like, hey, there's a website that I wanted to start working on, and why not? There's no rush on getting the website done, but might as well show you guys what I'm doing, how I do stuff, how I get websites to do all the fancy things. I mean, it's not anything like World of Warcraft, but hey, sometimes knowing what goes on to make a website can make you appreciate what you actually see on a daily basis. Plus, I can't tell you how many times I have people come up to me like, hey, I want to make a website for my business. Okay, what's your business? Restaurant. So you want directions, a menu, some pictures, and a front page. 4 pages, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, $2,000. And they literally shit their pants because we're like, for 4 pages? Yeah. For 4 pages, $2,000, and I'll host it for a year. I'll even throw that in for them. But what they don't realize is, I mean, yeah, I can create 4 pages here really quick. But all the setup and all the background, like if I was doing let's say, me and the wife, we went to a place called Rowdy Barbecue over on 51. And this is their website. Literally 4 pages. They have a email link there. Contact us. And that's it. Just the time it takes to set up this layout. Now, if I was going to do a separate layout, completely fresh, just to make them not have that same look. Because, I mean, if you look at Bootstrap compared to what we were on, where are we? I think I put it in this one. Nope. Was it the modem one? Yeah, if you look at this compared to like Bootstrap, they kind of look similar. And that's, I mean, Bootstrap is good to get you started so you can actually start working on a website, but then it's a matter of modifying it. I mean, when I used it for I don't have my certificate in, that's why. If you look at Karaoke Manager, it looks pretty much the same, because I just wanted to get something up there, something working, so you can quickly get logged in. Super secret password. There. And that's what we're going to actually attempt is next week, is to get like the username to show up here, get a different menu for when you're logged in versus when you're logged out. And we can see what we can do from there. So other than that, guys, I am going to call it for tonight. I will go ahead and post a event for next week's stream, so you guys can go ahead and favorite it, like it, send it around. I mean, the more people, the merrier. The fact that we actually had at one point 12 people watching, I just thought was amazing. So I want to thank you guys for coming in, supporting me on this, and you guys have a good weekend. Okay, peace.